Lomart is in no way affiliated with any professional pool installer. Therefore, Lomart can assume no responsibility for errors in installation by the homeowner or said professional pool installer. If you have the pool installed by others, please supervise to be sure they comply with proper installation techniques as shown. This free installation video is designed to supplement Lomart's pool assembly and installation instructions for your style of pool. The video does not replace the written instructions. Be sure to read all the instructions, including those for accessories such as filters, pumps, skimmers, etc., prior to starting your pool assembly. We at Lomart would like to thank you for choosing a Lomart above-ground pool. Your new pool was a wise family investment, and with proper installation and regular pool care, your Lomart pool will provide you and your family with years of backyard fun and recreation. This free video was designed to help you install your new pool. If you're using professional pool installers, we strongly recommend that you use this video to double-check and monitor the installation process. We'll go through the installation process step by step to make sure this project goes smoothly and efficiently. It takes 2 to 3 days to install your Lomart pool. It's important that you take your time. Also, you'll need a couple of friends to assist you. We're going to divide the process into 4 parts. The first and most important for a successful installation is the ground preparation. Second, we'll lay the framework. The third step is the pool wall. And the final step, installing the liner and finishing the pool. Throughout this process, there are 2 important pieces of information you'll need to keep handy at all times. The first is the parts list. You'll need to refer to it when you count the parts. The second is the installation instructions themselves. And before we get started on ground preparation, there are a few things you'll need to consider about where you'll place your pool. The placement of the pool in your yard is a very important decision. It's going to be there a long time. It may sound easy, but there are some factors to consider. First, never install your pool under power lines. Second, don't install the pool under trees because the leaves will drop into the pool. Third, stay clear of overhanging eaves, which will allow rainwater to run off into your pool. Also, choose a spot with convenient electrical outlets for the filter and skimmer systems. And make sure there are no sprinklers near the pool area. As you consider skimmer placement, realize that where you begin to install the pool wall is where the ends will meet, and that's where the filter and skimmer systems will end up. There are 2 other considerations. First, if you plan to excavate an optional special purpose deep swimming area, you'll need to allow more installation time. And the second is which type of cove you will use. This video will go into greater detail about the cove later, but you have 2 choices: packed earth or preformed manufactured. If you choose an earth cove, you'll need enough sifted earth to make a 6-inch by 9-inch cove around the base of the pool wall. What you see here are some of the tools you'll need to install your pool. You will not be seeing every tool, so be sure that you have all the tools listed in your instructions before you start the installation. A 2-foot carpenter's level is essential. A transit or builder's level is recommended. It will really help with leveling. A flat end shovel will help you with more precise excavation. A 5/16 inch hex nut driver, 7/16 inch and 9/16 inch wrenches, drill and bit, carpenter saw, a sharp knife, a 1 1/4 inch to 2 inch wide binder clips or spring clamps. Among the materials you'll be using, perhaps the most important are these 8-inch by 8-inch by 16-inch concrete blocks. You'll need 1 block under each side support. You'll need to fill these blocks with quick-set concrete, so be sure to consult your instruction sheet to determine the proper quantity for your size pool. We also recommend using 12-inch by 12-inch by 2-inch patio blocks under the verticals at the ends of the pool for additional stability and a more finished look. Before we begin with the ground preparation, there are some parts that need to be pre-assembled. Refer to your parts list and assembly instructions for these steps. You'll begin by assembling the skid support to the bottom ground support using hex head screws and hex nuts. Tighten firmly. Place the ground support bottom inside the ground support top like this. Slide the ground support into the vertical until the 4 holes are aligned in all 3 pieces. Loosely assemble each side vertical with 4 3/8 inch hex head bolts and hex nuts in the bottom holes only. Tighten all hardware firmly, but do not assemble any other parts at this time. Repeat this process for all side verticals. The pool design you have chosen is an oval trimline space saver. The oval shape is held in place by side supports on the outside of the pool wall. We will install a 24-foot by 12-foot pool. If your oval is a different size, some of what we show you may differ slightly, but the parts basically go together the same way. For the oval trimline space saver pool layout, refer to the layout dimensions in the installation instructions for your pool. The clearance dimension indicated by the dotted line is the area that has to be leveled. In your pool area, locate stakes A and B. You'll need to consult your pool layout diagram for the exact dimensions for your pool size. With stakes A and B in position, put a nail at the top of each stake. These nails will be used to position the leveling tool. The radius of stakes A and B will form the 2 ends of your pool. It's helpful to use flour or chalk or marker paint to measure and mark out the appropriate clearance radius for your pool. Next, with a shovel, remove sod and roughly level the pool area. It's very important that your entire pool area be completely level, so we're going to show you how to make a leveling tool. Make a hole in one end of a 2x4. The 2x4 should be the length recommended in your instructions for your size pool. Attach the short board to the end of the level 2x4 as shown in your instruction sheet. Make sure the stakes are level with each other. For longer pools, intermediate stakes leveled between stakes A and B may be necessary. Attach the 2x4 to stake A. With a level taped to the 2x4, find the lowest point in the circle and level the 2x4 above it. With this leveling tool, remove a 1-foot wide strip until you have a level reading all the way around the pool area. This is where the pool frame will sit. Repeat this process for stake B. With that complete, you should now level the inside pool area to meet the outer level strip. Remember that the entire assembled pool framework must sit on flat ground within 1 inch of level at opposite sides. Take the time now to carefully level so you don't have to disassemble later. Now make sure the leveled pool area is completely clear of stones, sticks, roots, and other objects that might puncture your pool liner. Check your instructions to determine the dimensions for the side support clearance area, then remove sod and roughly level the area. If your pool liner is 20 or 25 millimeters thick, you may excavate an optional special purpose deep swimming area at this time. Remember that this area is for underwater swimming only. No jumping or diving. For more detailed information about an optional special purpose deep swimming area, please consult your instructions. Locate stakes C, D, E, and F from your pool layout. Attach strings between C and D and E and F. Measure 14 inches inward along both of these strings. Mark each string and then measure 38 inches from these marks to locate the center points of the remaining side supports. Check the distance between these points on your pool layout diagram. You're now ready to dig out the side support trenches. To do this, measure back 11 3/4 inches from the string line, away from the pool, and position the front edge of the concrete block at that point. Mark out this area. Next, carefully dig out the concrete block hole following the dimensions in your instructions. Place a concrete block into the excavation as shown, with the thicker wall side of the concrete block facing up. Now check for level in both directions. If the blocks aren't level, adjust them accordingly until a level reading is shown. Repeat this process for all concrete block holes. Please note it is important that the trench walls remain firm and undisturbed during and after the excavation. Do not over-excavate with the thought of backfilling later, as the side supports will move when the pool is filled and pool failure may occur. Now, place the pre-assembled side support against the string line and use the side support as a guide for digging out the side support trench. Make sure the skid plate rests firmly against the face of the concrete block, and the side supports just touch the string line like this. Dig out the trench, referring to your instructions for proper depth for the side support trench. Afterwards, fill the concrete blocks with concrete mix and level with the top of the blocks. If you accidentally over-dig, fill any space behind the blocks with cement. Repeat this process for all side supports. At this point, remove the string line and place the assembled side supports into each trench with the skid plate resting firmly against the face of the concrete block. The horizontal beam must rest in the trench and be level. Check the level with a 2-foot carpenter's level placed on top of the beam. Notice that when the beam is level, that the verticals lean in toward the pool interior. This lean is intentional and will disappear after the filled pool has a chance to settle in. Another good way to check for consistent lean-in is to visually sight down the side supports. Doing so will help you detect any verticals that don't lean like the others. Refer to your parts list and select the appropriate pressure pads for each side support assembly. Position a side support pressure pad and an outside pressure pad onto the horizontal beam and trace around the pad with a screwdriver to get a pattern to dig out. Remove the pressure pads and excavate the earth within the pressure pad area, following the dimensions in your instructions. Grade to the sloping horizontal beam. Be sure to scribe a 1-inch deep groove down each side and center of the trench for flange clearance on the pressure pads. Then, remove the excess dirt accumulated from scribing. Overlap and attach the pressure pads to adjacent pads like this. The pressure pad must be flush with the horizontal beam and firm ground. Standing outside of the pool and working from left to right, secure the pressure pad to the horizontal beam. Be sure to align the small and large screw holes that attach the pressure pads together. Do not omit any screws. Use the appropriate hardware to finish securing the remaining pressure pads to the horizontal beams. Tighten the hardware firmly. You may now remove stakes C, D, E, and F. Remember, the skid plate at the bottom of the side support assembly must fit firmly against the concrete block, and the pressure pads must be flat on the ground with the flanges down into the scribed grooves. Once you're sure the pool area is as level as possible, you're ready to move on to step 2, the framework. Install the bottom rail locator to the top set of holes on the side vertical. Next, slide the bottom rail, stamped with an S, groove up onto the bottom rail locator. Please note the bottom rails stamped with an S are designed for use between the side verticals only. Now, insert the next bottom rail locator into the free end of the bottom rail and then attach the bottom rail locator to the side verticals using the top set of holes in the side verticals. Repeat this process for all the bottom rail locators. Next, install the apex bottom rails stamped with an LA at the locations described in your instructions. Slide one end of a bottom rail, groove up, into the bottom rail locator. Slide the other end into a bottom connector as shown here. Complete the bottom framework by sliding the bottom rails, groove up, into the bottom connectors like this. Now, check for roundness by measuring from stakes A and B to the vertical end caps. The distance should be the same from every point. Now that you've checked the bottom rails for roundness and can see where the end caps are, you can start installing the patio blocks. Center the patio blocks under the vertical end caps. Mark the area where the patio block is to be placed and then move the bottom framework away. Dig out this area until the top of the block is flush with the ground and check for level in both directions. For a proper installation, it's also essential to level from patio block to patio block as shown here. Once all the patio blocks are in place, it's time to reassemble the framework. Check to make sure the bottom framework is round and there is no dirt in the bottom rail grooves, making sure that the framework is level before proceeding. At this point, remove all stakes. If you're going to use an earth cove, now is the time to bring the sifted earth into the pool area. Use a sifting screen to remove 1/8 inch pebbles or larger as shown here. When you are finished, remove one section of bottom rail and wheel the earth into the center of the pool area. When you have a sufficient amount of dirt to cover the pressure pads and to form the earth cove, remove the wheelbarrow and replace the bottom section. Before we move on to step 3, installing the pool wall, do a final check of the area to make sure it's free of debris. You are now ready for the wall. Take note of the weather conditions. Installing a pool wall on a windy day is impossible. Placing the wall coil, arrow up, on overlapping pieces of cardboard will make it easier to move the wall during installation. Set the wall carton near the starting point you selected. You must begin the wall near an electrical outlet for the pool filter. With the wall carton's arrow pointing up, use a sharp knife to cut around the carton's bottom end and lift the carton of the coiled wall. As you unwind the wall coil around the pool, you'll find the return fitting and skimmer opening at the inside end of the wall coil. Position the pool wall inside the framework and near the starting bottom connector. Always start at the center of a vertical end cap. Uncoil about 6 to 10 feet of the wall at a time and insert the bottom edge into the groove on the bottom rails. Place stabilizer rails, which look like this, onto the edge of the pool wall. Telescope the small diameter rails into the large diameter rails about 6 inches. Secure the stabilizer rails to the wall and the wall to the side supports with duct tape. Please note the large stabilizer rails go between the side supports and do not telescope. Work around the top of the pool as the wall is inserted into the bottom rail. Bring the ends of the wall together and overlap them as shown. The raised feature on one wall end is received by the corresponding facing recess on the other wall end. If any adjustments are necessary to make the wall ends meet, Make these adjustments equally at all bottom connectors. Line up the holes in each end of the wall and insert half-inch long screws with a screw head to the inside of the wall. Loosely attach all the screws and nuts first, then tighten them securely. Recheck the tightness of the screws and nuts at least twice to ensure a proper seat. File off any sharp burrs on the screw heads, then place the wall protective strip over the screws and secure with duct tape. Reinstall stabilizer rails over the wall joint area. The skimmer and return openings must be coated with fast-drying enamel to increase steel protection. Use a Q-tip to apply the enamel. Do not use your fingers as the edges of the openings are sharp. Some verticals for this style of pool require assembly. To assemble these, simply slide the centerpiece into the grooves you'll find on each side section. Place the vertical assembly over the tabs of the bottom connectors at the bottom and secure. Now, attach the vertical top caps at the top like this. Install the side vertical caps on the support verticals as shown here. This is a top rail. They attach between the vertical top caps. After referring to the hole selection chart in your instructions, use a felt pen to mark the holes appropriate for your pool size on the vertical top cap. This will help avoid confusion when you start to attach the top rails. Now, attach the top rails according to the holes you marked. When you're finished, make sure each top rail is level. The top connectors are installed between the top rails. The top connectors we are installing are for flare 6-inch oval pools. If you are installing another category of pool, some of what we show you may differ slightly. Consult your installation instructions for exact directions. The pool cove was mentioned earlier, but you should know that the cove is a vital structural element. It prevents the water pressure from pushing the pool liner out under the bottom rail. The manufacturer accepts no responsibility if the cove is omitted. So you may choose an earth cove, which we're using in our installation, or you can purchase a pre-formed cove. You may also want to ask your dealer about artificial pool floor material. At this point, you'll want to make sure the pressure pads and horizontal beams are covered with a sufficient amount of sifted earth and then form the pool cove. Now, before you begin to install the liner, make sure all stakes are removed and the pool floor is smooth. Remove all stones and sharp objects, and fill in slight depressions like footprints with sifted, dampened earth and tamp down. With the cove installed, we're ready for the final step, the liner. Lomart pools are available with either printed liners or solid blue liners, depending on the pool model you've selected. Lomart pools can be installed using snap-fast liners also, but that installation will not be shown in this video. Lomart provides a separate instruction sheet for snap-fast liner installation. Begin the stretch-in liner installation by placing the liner on the top rail, allowing the loose end to hang about 12 inches over the outside of the pool. The embossed and/or printed side of the liner is the water side. With help from your friends, work in both directions from the point where the liner is overhanging. Unfold the liner. Drape over the top rail and down the sides approximately 24 inches. Locate the point where the side and bottom seams intersect. Here, on the underside of the liner, you will find the liner item number. Make sure it is the same number that is on the liner carton. The liner should be 6 inches to 12 inches above the pool floor in the center only. Inspect the liner for open seams. Refer to your instructions for exact positioning of the center seam or center liner section. The bottom perimeter seam should be inside the pool about 12 inches below the top rails. Correct any bunching or pleating in the liner and make sure the seams are straight. Once the liner is in position, secure it to the underside of the top rail by placing a small piece of cardboard over the liner and attaching a binder clip to the cardboard. This will keep the liner in position and allow you to adjust the liner tension as the pool fills. And now it's time to fill the pool. First, cover your garden hose with a sock or rag and secure with duct tape. This will protect the liner against potential punctures from the hose end. As the pool fills, the liner will stretch as the water begins to cover the bottom. Adjust the tautness in the liner by releasing the binder clips and gently feeding the liner back into the pool. Do not snag the liner on the framework. Continue in this manner all the way around the pool, reclamping the binder clips after adjusting the liner. Never allow the liner to fall back into the pool. Water between the liner and wall can cause pool failure. Refer to your instruction sheet before making any liner adjustments. When the pool has approximately 24 inches of water up the pool wall, stop filling procedures. Do not make any cuts in the liner until instructed to do so. With the help of 2 or 3 of your friends, lift the liner from 3 top rail sections. As they hold the liner, remove the attaching hardware at the top connectors from 3 top rail sections. This will include 4 top connectors, 3 top rails, and stabilizer rails for each section of the wall. 8-inch steel frame pools also require removing the vertical top caps. Be very careful during this process to make sure the liner does not fall back into the pool. Now, make a hem in the liner like this one. Smooth the hemmed liner against the wall and secure to the top of the wall with plastic coping. Place the stabilizer rails over the coping and telescope the large rail over the small rails about 6 inches. Replace all the parts you just removed and continue in the same manner all the way around the pool to finish the liner installation. The skimmer openings in the pool wall have been specifically designed to fit Lomart skimmers or skim filter. Locate the skimmer opening in the pool wall and carefully pierce the holes around the skimmer openings with a nail. Use a sharp knife to carefully cut away the liner. Install the skimmer U-gasket. Make sure that the liner edge is under the gasket. Mount the skimmer faceplate and start 2 screws on the outer corners. Next, align the skimmer body and loosely thread the 2 corner faceplate screws into it. Start all remaining screws. With all screws loosely installed, finish tightening the faceplate and skimmer to the wall. Once the skimmer is installed, locate the return fitting opening in the pool wall. Now, carefully cut away the liner as shown. Install the return fitting U-gasket around the opening. Make sure that the liner edge is trapped under the gasket. Insert the threaded end of the return fitting adapter through the wall. Firmly hold the return fitting adapter and then, from the outside of the pool, screw on the return fitting body as described in your skimmer instructions. Next, push the eyeball insert into the directional eyeball. Place this entire unit in the return fitting opening and secure it by screwing on the return fitting cover. Now that you've installed your new pool, Lomart would like you to know we're very concerned about your family's safety, so we've provided an assortment of safety literature with your pool. You will have years of fun and enjoyment with your new pool, but it's also a big responsibility. Please take the time to learn, understand, and follow all the safety rules and regulations. We've also provided these signs and decals. It's mandatory that you place them in the appropriate locations as instructed in your Safety First booklet. After you've installed the filter and skimmer and placed all the decals, all you have left to do is finish filling your pool. Well, that's it. Now you and your family and friends are ready to enjoy the best in family recreation right in the convenience of your own backyard. So here's to many safe and happy years in your Lomart pool. Enjoy!
We at Lomart would like to thank you for buying one of our quality above-ground pools. This video is designed to assist you with your pool installation. Watch this video from beginning to end before you start your installation. Also, read through the instruction sheet and owner's guides provided with your pool. This will help ensure that the installation process will go smoothly. Remember, if you're using professional pool installers, use this video to monitor the installation. If you have a 200 series pool, this video will only serve as a general overview. Follow your printed instructions for the actual installation. Before you begin, make sure you have all of the tools and materials listed in your instructions. Allow 2 to 3 days for the installation of your pool. You'll need a couple of friends to assist you with your installation. There are 4 major steps involved with your pool's installation. The ground preparation, which is the key to a proper installation. Laying the framework. The pool wall. And finally, installing the liner. Here's a list of things to consider when determining the placement of your pool. Be sure you understand all the placement recommendations listed in your instructions. The ground preparation. Begin by pounding a stake into the center of the pool area. Now, drive a 16-penny nail into the stake, like this. Take a roll of twine and tie a loop in one end. Place this over the nail. Unroll the twine so that you have enough to extend 1 foot beyond the pool radius in your instructions. Cut the twine to the length marked clearance radius in your instructions. Using a tin can filled with flour, mark out your pool's clearance radius as shown. Now remove all sod and large rocks from within this area. If you plan to excavate a deep swimming area, see the optional special purpose deep swimming area section of your instructions. It is essential that your pool area be completely level. For this reason, you'll need to construct a leveling tool. Begin by cutting a 2x4 the length recommended in your instructions for your diameter pool. Drill a 3/8 inch hole in one end of the 2x4 and attach it to the center stake as shown. Construct an upside-down T and nail it to the outer end of the 2x4. Then, tape a carpenter's level to the center of the 2x4. Find the lowest spot in your pool area. This is where the bubble is toward the inside of the pool. With this leveling tool as your guide, remove a 1-foot wide strip until a level reading is seen all the way around the pool area. Remove high points. Do not fill in low spots. Now level the inside pool area to meet the outer level strip. Remember, the entire assembled pool framework must sit on flat ground within 1 inch of level at opposite sides. Once your pool area is completely level, remove all stones and debris that might puncture your pool liner. Do not remove the stake yet. Laying the framework. Before you begin your framework assembly, make sure you have all the parts listed in your parts list. Begin framework construction by sliding the bottom rail into the bottom connector. Continue in this manner all the way around the pool site. Once the framework is assembled, use the center stake and twine to check the frame for roundness. The distance should be the same at each point. Next, using the bottom connectors as a guide, position your patio blocks as shown. After the blocks are in place, remove the bottom framework and set it off to the side. Mark the area where you will excavate for the patio block. Dig out this area. The top of the patio block must sit level with the ground. If it isn't level, adjust the block accordingly until a level reading is shown. Repeat this procedure for all patio blocks. Next, use a carpenter's level taped to a 2x4 and check from block to block to ensure that all of the blocks are level. With the patio blocks in place, reassemble the bottom framework. Make sure the bottom connectors are centered on the patio blocks. With the twine and center stake, check the frame for roundness. There are two types of cove material, packed earth or preformed manufactured. If you want an earth cove, you'll need enough sifted earth to make a 6x9 cove around the base of the pool wall. Simply remove a section of the bottom rail and bring the sifted earth into the center of the pool area. Replace the bottom rail after you have a sufficient amount of sifted earth. Before we proceed with the wall, you must assemble the top caps to the vertical ends as shown in your instructions. Erecting the pool wall. Don't attempt to put the wall up on a windy day. Place the skimmer opening near an electrical outlet, and you'll need a couple of friends to assist you. Place the wall coil inside the pool frame, arrow up on a piece of cardboard. This will make the wall easier to move during installation. Your starting point for the wall installation will be the center of the bottom connector located approximately 72 inches from your predetermined skimmer location. Rotate the wall on the cardboard, uncoiling about 6 to 10 feet of wall at a time. Be careful not to bend the bottom of the pool wall. Insert the bottom of the pool wall into the bottom rail as you work your way around the pool. Temporarily install the stabilizer rails on the top edge of the pool as you work your way around. Slide the small rails into the larger rails about 6 inches and secure to the wall with duct tape. Continue working your way around the pool. Bring the wall ends together in the center of the starting bottom connector. Adjust all the bottom rails in or out uniformly if the wall ends don't meet. Fasten interlocking ends of the wall using the nuts and screws provided. The screw head must be on the inside of the pool. It's helpful to use a screwdriver to line up the screw holes. When you're finished, go back and retighten all screws and nuts. Using a file or sandpaper, remove any burrs on all screw heads. Place the protective vinyl strip provided over the screw heads and tape in place. Then secure with a stabilizer rail. Next, insert the vertical side supports over the bottom connectors. Follow the instructions for your pool model to attach the vertical. Be careful not to bend the tabs on the bottom connector. After securing with screws, tape the tops of the verticals to the pool wall to keep them in place. Before installing the top rails, refer to the hole selection chart in your instructions. And using a felt pen, mark the top cap holes appropriate for your pool size. This will help avoid confusion when you start to attach the top rails. Now attach the top rails according to the holes you marked. Please note, we're installing an 18-foot pool. Use the correct holes for your pool. After you've attached the top rails, make sure each one is level. For the top connector assembly, place the vertical skirt over the vertical and secure with screws as shown. Next, hook the rear of the top connector firmly under the top rail inside the pool. Swing the top connector down over the vertical top cap and align with the vertical skirt. Secure with screws as shown. Recheck your pool for roundness before proceeding. Installing the liner. Remove the pool liner from the carton and allow it to warm in the sun, but don't unroll it all the way. This will make it more pliable and easier to handle. If a through-wall skimmer and 90-degree return are to be installed, remove skimmer and return fitting knockouts at this time. If you have a pool with 2 skimmers and return fitting knockouts and choose to use only 1 skimmer and return fitting, then leave the other knockouts intact. Use a hammer and Phillips head screwdriver and carefully knock out the screw holes for the skimmer in the pool wall as shown. Support the inside of the pool wall with a 2x4 approximately 12 to 18 inches long. Use a hammer and a flat blade screwdriver and break all the tie points for the skimmer opening. Remove the skimmer knockout using care not to cut yourself on the edges. With a pair of pliers, remove all screw hole burrs as shown. Do not allow any burrs to fall inside the pool. Use this same procedure for the return fitting opening. Before we proceed with the pool liner, we must now put the cove material in place. As we mentioned earlier, you may use sifted earth cove, which we're using for our installation, or you can purchase a preformed cove. You may also want to ask your dealer about artificial pool floor material. Lomart Industries will not assume responsibility if the cove is omitted. Now, build and compact the cove as shown. Once completed, make sure the pool floor is smooth. With the center stake removed, clear the area of all the stones and sharp objects. Fill in slight depressions like footprints with sifted, dampened earth and tamp down. Place the liner on the top rail and leave the loose end to hang about 12 inches over the outside of the pool. The embossed side is the water side. With help from your friends, work in both directions from the point where the liner is overhanging. Unfold the liner and drape over the top rail as illustrated in your instruction sheet. Attach clothespins to the underside of the top rails. This will keep the liner in position. Make sure the liner seams do not cross the skimmer and or return openings. The gaskets won't seal properly and may cause liner damage. The liner will slightly touch the ground in the center only. Correct any bunching or pleating in the liner and make sure the seams are straight. Inspect the liner for open seams. Cover your garden hose with a sock or rag and secure with duct tape. This will protect the liner against potential punctures from the hose end. As the pool fills, it will be necessary to adjust the tautness in the liner by releasing the clothespins and gently feeding the liner back into the pool. This will help ensure a smooth liner installation. When properly installed, the bottom seam will be approximately midway up the cove. Do not snag the liner on the framework. Continue in this manner all the way around the pool, reclamping the clothespins after adjusting the liner. Never allow the liner to fall back into the pool. Water between the liner and the wall can cause pool failure. Refer to your instruction sheet before making any liner adjustments. When the pool has approximately 18 inches of water, stop filling procedures. Do not make any cuts in the liner until instructed to do so. With the help of 2 or 3 of your friends, lift the liner from the 3 top rail sections. As they hold the liner, remove the attaching hardware at the top rail connectors. This will include 4 top connectors, three top rails, and stabilizer rails for each section of the wall. Make sure the liner doesn't fall back into the pool. Now, make a hem in the liner like this one. Pull the liner up and over the pool wall and secure to the top of the wall with plastic coping. Place the stabilizer rails over the coping and telescope the large rail over the small rails about 6 inches. Reinstall the center top rail of the 3 removed. Now remove the next top connector and top rail. Continue in the same manner all the way around the pool, keeping your working area to just 3 top rail sections at a time. As you complete each new working area, be sure to reinstall a top rail next to the previously reinstalled top rail. Once the entire liner is secured with coping, stabilizer rails, and top rails, replace the top connectors as shown. Installing the skimmer and return fitting. Prior to skimmer assembly, it's helpful to temporarily remove the top rail adjacent to the skimmer opening. Now carefully pierce the holes surrounding the skimmer opening. Align the faceplate gasket and faceplate and then start 2 screws on the outer corners of the faceplate. A thin coat of clear silicone sealer may be used on both sides of the outer skimmer and return fitting gaskets to hold the gaskets in position and provide additional sealing. Do not use this sealer on any gasket that touches the liner. Next, align the skimmer gasket and attach the skimmer as shown. Make sure all the faceplate screws are started before you finish tightening the faceplate to the skimmer. With the skimmer and faceplate attached to the pool, take a sharp knife and carefully cut out the liner inside the skimmer facing and vacuum port. Attach the weir to the skimmer opening. Then install the vacuum port cover as shown here. Use the instructions provided with your skimmer or skim filter to complete skimmer and filter installation. Once the skimmer is installed, locate the return fitting opening in the pool wall. Position the return fitting adapter and gasket against the liner. Now, carefully cut the liner as shown. Insert the threaded end of the return fitting adapter through the wall and trim excess liner. Firmly hold the return fitting adapter. Then, from the outside of the pool, attach the gasket and screw on the return fitting body as described in your skimmer instructions. Next, attach the eyeball insert to the directional eyeball. Now place this entire unit in the return fitting opening and secure it with the return fitting cover. When finished, replace the top rail and top connectors. Safety, signs and literature. Lomart Industries is very concerned about your family's safety. That's why we provide an assortment of safety literature and materials with your new pool. Please take the time to learn, understand, and follow all the safety rules and regulations. Lomart has also provided a safety sign and eye-catching decals. It's mandatory that you place them in the appropriate locations described in your Read Me First booklet. Please note, the deeper area, shallow near wall decal comes with variable depth liners and is for use with an excavated optional special purpose deep swimming area only. After you've placed all the decals and properly installed the filter, pump, skimmer, and any additional pool accessories, make sure your pool is filled to 6 inches from the top rails. This concludes your pool installation. We're confident your new Lomart pool will bring you and your family years of fun and enjoyment.